This happened a few years ago when I went to Costco one night. I used to have a membership there and would shop there regularly. That evening, I went in around 7 p.m. The store wasn't too busy, pretty average. I started shopping and soon noticed a man who seemed to be following me. I first noticed him about 5 minutes after entering the store. He was standing at the end of the aisle I was in, looking at me a few times, like he was trying to act casual but failing. I left the aisle with a weird feeling only to see him again in the next area I went to. I tested him by quickly walking away and later saw him casually walk by. Each time I moved to a new section, I saw him nearby, always keeping a distance but always watching me. When I was done shopping, I went to check out, now worried about what would happen after I left the store. Would he follow me? Attack me? I decided to play it by ear. When I got in line, I didn't see him at first, but then I noticed a man emerging from a nearby aisle with a few items. I started unloading my cart, and he got in line right behind me, pretending like nothing was unusual. As I paid for my items and began packing them up, I overheard the cashier ask him for his Costco membership card. He didn't have one. He claimed he lost it or forgot his member ID. They wouldn't let him buy anything without it. As I was leaving, I heard him say, "Forget it, I'll just leave." That's when I picked up the pace. I was practically jogging by the time I got outside. I didn't see him, so I bolted to my car, got in, and drove home. Looking back, I realized he didn't have a membership. So, he might have been there just to stalk me and tried to blend in by buying a few things. I reported him to Costco, not sure what they could do, but I didn't know what else to do. I never saw him again after that. And I hope I never do. I used to work at Costco, and during my time there, I did a little bit of everything, including stocking shelves. One evening, I was working when the store wasn't very busy. As I passed near the front of the store, near the checkouts, I noticed a man walking around upstairs in an area meant only for employees. I was 90% sure he didn't work there. Only employees are allowed in that part of the store, so I kept an eye on him, hoping he would leave. Instead, he stood around, pacing and watching people shop. Eventually, I saw him toss something down, possibly a bottle cap, toward a shopper below. That's when I knew I had to do something. I walked over to the stairs leading to that area. A barrier blocked access with a sign saying employees only. I went up, and when the guy saw me, he tried to enter a locked room. I told him he needed to come down and leave. He claimed he was lost, which was obviously a lie. He eventually went back downstairs but didn't leave the store. He quickly walked away from me and disappeared. I figured he learned his lesson and wouldn't try that again. Later that night, after closing time, I heard two women scream from somewhere in the store. I rushed over and saw the same man hiding in a large clothing bin filled with jeans. When one of my coworkers was organizing the bin, the man suddenly emerged, scaring them. He took off running deeper into the store. My coworker chased him while someone else called the police. The police arrived, searched the store, and found the man hiding. He refused to leave, so they arrested him for trespassing and banned him from Costco. Turns out he didn't even have a membership. I'm not sure what his plan was, but it was really crazy. This story takes place a couple of years ago when I was living with my good friend and roommate Jessica. We both had Costco memberships and would shop together roughly once a week. One day, we went to Costco and shopped around for all the stuff we needed. It was pretty busy, as usual, so it took a while to get everything. Once we were done, we had a full cart of groceries. We were also pretty hungry, so I went to get a hot dog from the food court while Jessica said she'd go to the car and start loading it up. I ordered the food and got a hot dog, a pizza slice, and a drink. My hands were full when my phone started vibrating in my pocket. I couldn't reach it, so I figured I'd check who it was once I got to the car. I walked out into the parking lot and headed toward where we had parked, which was pretty far away. When I arrived, the car was gone. At first, I thought I was in the wrong spot. I looked around the parking lot and that's when I noticed a man walking toward me from about 50 feet away. Something about him gave me a bad feeling. I started walking away, went to another row, but the car wasn't there either. Then I noticed the same creepy guy had followed me to that row. Now frustrated and creeped out, I walked back to Costco as my phone vibrated again. I got back inside, sat down at a table in the food court, and checked my phone. There were several missed calls from Jessica. I quickly called her back. She answered right away. She told me she had to leave. She said that while she was loading the car, a creepy guy approached her. He tried to enter her car, but she managed to lock the doors before he got in. He kept trying the handle, so she drove away. That's when she called me the first time to warn me and let me know she was going to drive around and pick me up. But I hadn't seen her call. I told her I had seen the same man and that I was back inside Costco now. We agreed to meet at the entrance. I reported the guy to a Costco employee, and when Jessica reached the doors, I quickly got into her car and we drove away. As we left, we saw the man standing randomly in the parking lot. We were just glad to get out of there. That was the scariest experience I've ever had at Costco. I worked at Costco as a cashier many years ago. I don't remember a whole lot from my time there, but overall, it was a decent job. One thing I do remember clearly is a weird and creepy thing that happened. I was working one night and had been there since the afternoon. It was approaching the end of my shift, and I'd been kept busy ringing up customers the entire time. At one point, I glanced up to see who was in my checkout line. There was one lady whose items I was about to scan, and another woman behind her. The second woman didn't appear to have a cart, and I didn't gather any other details after scanning the first customer's items. I looked up again and realized the second woman was gone. I wasn't sure why she had left the line, but I didn't care much either. A few minutes later, I noticed her again standing off to the side, near the checkout area, looking in my direction. I thought it was odd but ignored it. About 10 minutes later, I saw her again, still in the same general area, still kind of watching me. I figured maybe she was waiting for someone. Then, about 30 minutes later, I saw her again, this time on the other side of the checkouts, near the cafeteria and the exit doors. Still holding nothing, and still facing me. I didn't know what to make of it, so I kept working. I was off work shortly after that. When I finally clocked out and walked toward the exits, I noticed her again, but she didn't seem to be there. I parked pretty far back in the parking lot. It was nighttime, and things were quiet. About 10 seconds after stepping outside, I heard a voice to my left. I turned and saw the same woman standing in the shadows next to the building. She whispered and waved me over. Confused, I walked toward her. As I got closer, she said, "Come here," and then turned and started jogging around the building heading for the back. Curious, I followed, but not too fast. She gave me no explanation. She continued running, and after a short distance, I got sketched out and stopped. When she noticed I wasn't following, she stopped and told me to hurry up and follow her. I loudly asked why and didn't move. She told me to be quiet and follow her, then continued moving toward the back of the building. Now seriously creeped out, I decided I shouldn't follow her, so I turned around and walked back to my car. I could hear her turning around and jogging back toward me. So, I started jogging toward my car. I got in quickly and drove home. From my rearview mirror, I saw her standing about 15 feet away, still waving at me, trying to get me to go back. I ignored her and kept driving. I never saw her again. I'm still not sure what she wanted. Why had she been watching me in the store? And what would have happened if I had followed her? Was she setting me up to rob me, or worse? I'm really glad I just left. I have a Costco membership and I've had one for almost 10 years now. In all my years and many trips going there is one memory that really stands out. That's by far the craziest thing that has ever happened to me at Costco. It was a weekend afternoon when I went to Costco to do some shopping for the week. This particular week, I didn't need as much stuff as usual, but the store was extremely busy. People were everywhere, pushing their carts and making it tough to navigate. I slowly made my way through the aisles and got most of what I needed within about 10 or 15 minutes. At one point, I reached the end of an aisle where there was a small display of my favorite brand of water. There were only a few packs left and most had already been bought. There was another place in the store with more of this brand, but this was just a small end of aisle display. As I took a few packs and put them into my cart, I looked up and saw a guy pulling two carts around. In one of his carts, he had literally like 20 packs of the same water I had just picked up. When he saw the waters in my cart, he nearly ran me over with one of his overflowing carts. He grabbed all the remaining waters off the shelf, tossed them into his cart, and then noticed me. He called out to me as I started to walk away. I stopped and looked back. The guy had taken shopping in bulk to the extreme. His two carts were overflowing, maybe a total of 5 products, meaning he had basically bought out the store of each item he had chosen. I asked him what was up, and he looked at the waters in my cart and asked if I wouldn't mind giving them up. I looked at all the ones he already had and asked, "Why do you need so many?" He told me to mind my business and asked again if he could have them. As he was asking, he was already walking toward my cart and reaching out to grab them, as if he expected me to say yes. I was ticked off by his behavior and said no, I wouldn't give them up. He stopped, looked surprised, and then asked why. I told him to mind his business and started walking away. The guy tried to follow me with his two carts, but it was too hard for him to keep up. The aisles were crowded, and he couldn't maneuver them as well as I could with just one cart. By that point, I had almost everything I needed, so I finished up, paid for my items, and headed to the parking lot as I was unloading my car. I wasn't paying much attention until suddenly, the same man appeared out of nowhere. Before I could react, he reached into my trunk, grabbed the packs of water I had just bought, and sprinted away. I dropped everything and chased after him, but he was faster and had a head start. His car was parked nearby. He literally tossed the water inside, slammed the door shut, and backed out fast. I got behind his car trying to get him to stop, but instead, he violently revved his engine and backed out quickly. He came within about 6 inches of running me over. I don't think he would have cared if he actually hit me all just to steal even more of that stupid water. I went back inside and reported him to Costco. They contacted the police, and I gave them a description of the man and his car. I'm not sure if anything ever came of it, but I've never seen him again since then. Looking back, I still can't believe that happened.